Hey there, crew. It's Mark from MENWHOBULLET. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today as we set up our weekly instead of our B5 Archer and Olive dot grid notebook. I've been feeling a little Halloween inspired this week. I've been kind of crafting some ideas for myself, and while I was working this weekend, I was working on some cool little like potion bottles. Very simple to create. I'm going to show you how to do them today, but I wanted to include them in my weekly this week. And then we're also going to be using some fun watercolor in the twist from Nicholson Peerless transparent watercolors. I've used these before. I love them, and they just sent me out the Sidekick, which is this really cool, just functional, easy to take with you palette of colors. And I love it because all of the palettes are just straight colors across, so all of the oranges, all of the greens, all of the burnt umbers, all of the different grays and blacks, like all the colors are in here, and I'm really excited to use it today. So let's go ahead and set up the minimalist part first. We'll talk about how we're going to create this page, what we're going to be doing here, and then in the twist, we'll be adding in some extra fun things with some washi this week, just trying to experiment and use the washi that I have, and also adding in the watercolors as well. So for this week, this full page spread that I'm going to be doing is really going to be kind of simple from a standpoint of the measurements and how we're really creating everything inside of here. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of talk about it real quick as we get into it. But really what I'm doing is just setting up kind of like this 10-20 split. So what we'll be doing is we'll have 10 squares that are go across here. Then there's going to be 2 that we'll skip to kind of create an invisible line down our page. And then we'll have 20, and that'll take it all the way over to the margin. And then on the other side, we'll just be doing the opposite, which essentially is really just going, stay over there, 20, and then we'll have 2 squares, and then we'll have the 10. And that'll create exactly what we need from a standpoint of columns. Now for rows, I'm going to give myself some extra space. I noticed after last week, a lot of stuff going on the weekends right now. There's a lot of sports games. There's a lot of just events that we're doing. So what I'm going to do is set up 4 rows on each side. So if I go back into my cheat sheet in the back of my notebook, I actually have a measurement right here that we're going to use. It's super easy from a standpoint of like, again, how does this look? It's going to be 10 spaces and then 2 in between. And that's going to go all the way down that page. And I didn't give myself enough room there because it actually goes down 4. So just pretend that I did that right. But it's really easy. 10, 2, 10, 2, 10, 2, 10. And that's how it ends. That gives you 4 rows with a good amount of space. I wanted to go with this route because I don't want to draw these potion bottles that I'm talking about too big. I think that they can get a little unruly and kind of look kind of a little bit nuts on the page. So I wanted to keep things kind of simple for us and kind of work from it from there. That makes sense. All of our materials this week, I'm going to try to do a few different things. In the minimalist part, we're going to keep it really easy, which is just going to be a pencil. We'll pencil in all of our lines. And then I have 2 different Pitt Artist pens that I'm going to use. I have the extra small. We're going to use that for the outlines of our bottles. And then I have my medium, and that's what we're going to use to outline our rectangles inside of here. In the twist, we're going to be using some more Pitt Artist pens, but these are white, so they should go over top of the potion bottles that we're going to do. So you don't really need to worry about that. And if you are hanging out for the twist or doing it in watercolor, you're going to need a paintbrush. I also just have a ruler so I can keep all my lines nice and straight today and go from there. You can always draw out all of your rectangles with your pencil and go back over them with your marker afterwards. Really depends on how you like to work. And for me, as long as I see those verticals, I can draw those horizontal lines pretty straight, and I'm very, very good about those. All right, so on the edges is what we're going to do this week is kind of focus on what we've been doing. A lot of it's been just some general reflection. A lot just went on this past weekend. I had a really good time. I like to save some space for that. I haven't been using all of the vertical space. I think it really depends on like what you're looking to do. So I can split this out as I need to, add in some extra trackers and things like that, or really just use these for notes as I go throughout my week. It's really up to you, but this will be for reflection. We'll put some notes and tasks over on the right hand side, and then also use the middle of our page here to collect and go through as well. So I'm going to go in with my medium-sized Pitt Artist pen now and just fill in all of these rectangles and then be in a really good spot for the week, honestly. Now that we have our whole week set up, if you're going for that minimalist approach, this is it for you. You're in a really good spot. You can go ahead and put in your dates. You can put in your days of the week if you want to inside of here. And then we've got the reflection and we have our area for tasks. Super easy, straightforward, set you up for your week. You're ready to go. So now for the twist, we're going to go ahead and have some fun drawing in some cool bottles. We're going to be using some watercolors as well and some white pit artist pens to create the rest of our week. So let's go ahead and get into the twist. All right, welcome to the twist, my friend. So for the twist this week, what we're going to be doing is having a little bit of fun in drawing some bottles. So if you haven't drawn potion bottles before, I like to do them in a very easy way. And the way that is drawing the tops out half at a time. So we're going to draw just kind of a circle, and then we're going to draw the neck of the bottle. And then I like to draw them in a bunch of different ways. What I like about this method is that they don't have to be perfect. They can look a little weird, and that's totally cool. But you can create any type that you want in a really nice and easy way. So you'll see today that we're going to create one for every day of the week. So you might get some ideas from these if you want to. But just know we keep it simple. Then we'll do is add some little doodles inside of these, just like some bubbles, and then we'll go in with the watercolor over top of that. And that's how we're going to create the rest of these. I'm going to do this on the inside closest to the margins for each of the days of the week. So they'll all be straight down here in the middle. And the way all my notes and any type of task and events can go along the outsides here if we want to. If you want to start with your pencil, you can. I always like to say, if you do not feel confident with how you are working out with what's going on, then this is going to be the best way for you to start. Since we're working along the margins here, make sure you're giving yourself enough space for the outside of your bottle. So a lot of the times I like to just kind of take a look and use it by like the squares. So I'll say, okay, the squares here on the outside are going to be the top of that bottle. The neck is going to use these centers. And then I give myself that much space to create the bottle there for you. Now, in the inside of here, we're going to create the cork, and the cork is just kind of like a candy corn shape that you have there, all very Halloween themed as you go down. And if you want, you can make all of these exactly the same. You don't have to change them at all, but I like to create a little bit of variances as I'm creating mine. All right, I have all of those. I need to go back. I always forget to draw the little corks at the end. I'm like hit or miss on it. Cork. Okay, I'm good. I did notice as I was up here, I was drawing these kind of high and left not enough space for my corks. But if you want to, which could be kind of cool, which I'm going to do, is kind of fill that in a little bit more. So it'll look like it's kind of coming up a little bit above that line, which is totally cool. You know, it's whatever you want to do with it, however we want to do it. We're just having fun. If you do have any pencil marks, now is the time to erase those before we get into using our watercolor. So if you decided to use a pencil for your bottle, let's go ahead and erase that. And any extra stray lines that you might have from when you were setting up your weekly as well, we can go ahead and erase a little bit. All right. The next part of this is just the fun part. This is really what I love about the twist, is that we get to have some little extra bit of fun and learn some new things. So we learned about bottles today, especially as you're going into October and setting up weeklies as we get into that fun stuff. These potion bottles are really easy. The way that I like to work with them is I like to treat them kind of like soda bottles, where I'm just going to put some bubbles inside of here. You can use any kind of shapes you want, any colors, any materials to make them look really cool. I'm just adding in just a handful really quickly, because the rest of the time I'm going to spend using watercolor on these. And some of them will show through depending how dark I'm doing it. If I need to, I do have my white pit artist pens that I can use on top of there too to add a little bit of extra detail. I'm mostly going to be using the white pit artist pens to put the days of the week inside of here for myself, but you can do it however you really want to. So I mentioned early on that we're going to be using the Sidekick. So this is from Nicholson Peerless Transparent Watercolors. I've been working with them for quite some time now and absolutely love them. They create these flat sheet watercolors. So instead of watercolor being in a pod, these are all watercolor sheets. Very thin, very travelable, if that's a word. You can take them anywhere with you. And the Sidekick is supposed to be exactly that. If you're out and about and you're using different types of watercolor, you want to do that without carrying around pans and all of that, you can carry this. Also, what's cool is that each of these are perforated, so you can create your own color swatch if you want to as you go through. I don't know that I'm going to do that just yet. I actually love the fact that every single page is its own like color group. So this is all reds on this page here. These are all oranges and orange yellows. We have more kind of yellow marigolds, yellow ochre colors as we get into then the greens. We have all of the blues, amethyst, indigo, mauve. So these are like your purple colors here. All of your pinks. We've got browns, burnt umbers, sepia tones, black and grays on here. And as you saw as I flipped through here, one of my favorite parts of their watercolors is how cool they look on the pages. Sometimes it's hard to tell the color, at least for me, because of how they lay on here. But what I love is you get all these cool like individual patterns as they're being created. So you can find them over on their Instagram at Peerless Watercolor. I think they're cool. I'll put the links in the descriptions for you below on this too. And I also have special codes and discounts that you can use to get 20% off of your first order from them too. So we'll be using them and having some fun inside of here too. When I'm using watercolor in my bullet journal, specifically in the Archer and Olive, I like to go heavier pigment, less water. And the reason is that I don't want it to take forever to dry. And a lot of excessive water inside of any paper notebook that's not watercolor paper might not work out the best that you want it to. So as I'm working today, my colors are going to be darker than maybe you want yours to be, and that's okay. You can always water them down a little bit if you want to. So let's go ahead and start with the reds since we're right on here. I'm going to go just blood red right off the top. I mean, why not here? So I'm just going to take my paintbrush and you just put the water right onto the individual card, and then you go ahead and just paint it onto your page. I am going to need a little bit of extra water. There we go. These are super pigmented, so you're always going to get some great colors. So if you want lighter colors on your own personal one, then you're going to want to have a palette with you to be able to do that. I'm also not worried if my colors come out of my bottles just a little bit. I honestly like the way that that looks in some illustrations. I think it looks fun. And I'm just going to try to like smooth out the top here to make it look like liquid swashing around inside of here. These cards tend to dry pretty quickly, so I don't have to worry too much about them. And it's only one color on each side as we go through. So even if it does touch the other side, it's just touching like a white sheet of paper and we'll be okay. All right, let's go with our oranges. Let's see, what do we want to do over here? Let's go with a chrome yellow, no, let's do chrome orange. Oof, that's some great color. I love it. So fun. I'm going to keep going on all of these. Each one of the pages is going to get a color until we are totally done with all of the days of the week. I have to get a bigger water container. This one is filling up real quick and all. And not that I don't mind that the colors are mixing a little bit, but I think more water is going to be better for us today as we go through these. We have all of our watercolors on our page now. Super fun, little pops of color. Look at me, I don't usually do that. The last thing I'm gonna do while I wait for that to dry and we put our dates on, I'm gonna be using some washi tape. I don't use this a whole lot. I'm surprised at myself, honestly, that I'm really using it, but I thought, you know, I have a ton of it. This is actually from the restock from Archer and Olive from last year's Halloween collection. I'm patiently waiting for this season's colors because I'm really excited. Like I said, I love Halloween. That's why I've been thinking about it so much recently. And I'm like, hey, Let's use what we got, Mark. So some fun ideas to get us started. So what's cool about this washi, not that I know that I would really ever see it, is that it is glow in the dark. So I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Let me turn the light off, see if we can see it in my hands. We can start to see like some of the leaves and things like that glow inside of here. So just a fun little thing to add to your journal if you want to. I'm adding it more just for the look. Serpents, moons, stars. I even have some other ones. I was going to use them, but they're all potion bottles, but they're all vertical instead of horizontal. And I wanted these to be a horizontal split on my page. I'm realizing now I'm like way early for Halloween, but I don't care. I love what I love. No one can tell me differently. All right, I think we're all dry everywhere. Great. So the last thing that we're going to do on here is just put the days of the week inside of here. And then if you want, you can put the date either off to the side, or you can even put them inside of the parts where you didn't use. So I'm going to use, I guess a 1.5 is probably a good size for here. So I'm just gonna write Monday. And then we'll do all the days of the week. All right. This one works pretty well. I haven't actually used the white Pit Artist pens before, but I like the way they look on there. They definitely work better on the darker colors than they do on the lighter colors, but I can still see Wednesday here and I'll be good to go. So that's going to be our entire weekly here. So Monday through Sunday, we have a little bit of space over here for next week as well. We'll have our space for our reflection on the left and then all the fun over here for the tasks for this entire week. So we're good to go. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today, and hopefully you enjoyed both the minimalist part and the twist for today. I'll chat with you next week when we do our next plan with me. And of course, I have weekly videos for you just around all types of fun stuff, inks and pens and other fun ideas. So make sure to subscribe and tap that bell, and that way you'll always be notified as soon as I have new videos that are coming out each week. I'll talk with you later on. Happy planning. See ya.